In the quiet moments, that's where I'll find a little room to breathe, leave it all behind. Give me room to breathe, I need some time to heal my heart, to clear my mind. Gonna love myself, yeah, I believe in the power of me. Just give me room to breathe.
Welcome back, family, to the Room to Breathe podcast. Great new day, rich risings, grand risings, all of the peace and blessings to each and every one of you. I am your host, Life Coach 614, and I'm so glad that you made space to be here today. Now, before we get into this episode, I need everyone to do me a quick favor. If you are feeling the vibe, please go ahead and show us some love. You can do so by tapping the screen, liking, commenting. Most importantly, share this live out with someone who may need a little healing energy today. And if this is your first time here or you haven't already done so, I want you to go ahead and hit that follow button. Subscribe to our channel so that way you're always tapped in when a new episode drops. I also want to personally invite you to check out our digital home at theselfcareclub.org, where you'll find every single thing that you need, from affirmative apparel to motivational merch and a bunch of free resources to help nourish your growth and remind you that you are supported every step of the way. I want you to know that you don't have to do this alone. We are healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one day at a time. So today I want you to give yourself permission to pause, to reflect, and to make space for peace, for growth, and most importantly, for you. Now, if anything in today's episode hits home, be sure to drop some green hearts in the chat. That's our way of saying that I'm healing, I'm growing, and I'm showing up for me today. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. I see we got Janelle, Lady Blue in the house. We've got Ghost, Kale, No Fear, No Doubt, Conquering Walls. Who else is in the building? I see Sandra. I think we got Carlin, Miss Joy, Chris, Jay. Who else we got in the house today, you guys? Thank you so much for the green hearts. Twist the love. I see you, girl. I see you. You guys, today we are diving deep into a topic that I feel like will touch so many of us, okay? And that's, the struggle of this hustle culture and how it sometimes quietly teaches us to abandon ourselves. I'm going to start by saying, this is a safe space. And in this space, we are honest, we reflect, and yes, we're going to hold each other accountable, but we always do so with love. So if you're the person that I'm referring to that is just out here grinding nonstop, or if you're carrying that badge of busyness like it defines your worth, I want you to pause. I want you to take a breath, and I want you to check in with your spirit. I want to take a moment to ask each and every one of you, how are you really doing? Don't sugarcoat it. How are you really doing? Ooh, Ghost said I can't answer that. You can. You don't have to answer it out loud to me. But I want you to ask yourself how you're really doing. And every morning, when you guys wake up, hey, Rose, you guys should take a moment to pause and ask yourself this question. Ask yourself, am I proud of my grind or am I just afraid to stop? That's the perfect time for you to grab your journal or just breathe. Let that answer rise to the surface. This is a perfect time for you to add in the affirmation I am worthy even when I rest, right? Coach Paula, add that reminder to yourself. I am worthy even when I rest. Kale said that answer is scary. It is. But we do the scary stuff in here, right? We do the work in here. Even when it's messy, even when it's ugly, we do the work. Okay? Miss Joy says, I'm healing and I'm on the road to new beginnings. I am in a better place today than I have been in years. Amen. That is a blessing in itself, Miss Joy, to be able to look back and see how far you made it. What, God has delivered you through. And, that's a reminder to all of us that whatever age we are right now, we have survived X amount of years of the weapons that were meant to destroy us. We survived 100%. We made it through. We are still here. We are still standing. So it's important to keep us still standing that I believe that we start to talk about why we're so obsessed with the grind. I see some of you put in that you're just kind of scared to stop, right? So I want to talk about why does it feel like the harder we work, the more worthy we feel, right? Somewhere along the way, the hustle culture became this silent dictator of our lives, telling us to keep going, to never stop, never rest. And somehow we were conditioned to believe that exhaustion equals success. But here's the thing, that isn't success. It's self-abandonment dressed up in designer clothes. It's just packaged really pretty. I can remember, scrolling through social media one morning and, everyone looked like they were thriving. Everybody got their side hustles, their brand deals, their, 6-pack mornings, their inspirational quotes dripping from their feeds. And I was thinking, if I'm not doing all of this, I must be failing. I started questioning my own worth, asking myself, am I doing enough? And for a moment I found myself, questioning my worth. And I started thinking that my worth was tied to my visibility. I started looking back at all my numbers on all my social sites, and I'm like, my content must not be worthwhile. The work that I'm doing must not be worthy because I don't see the numbers. The math ain't mathing, right? My output, my ability to keep up, I started questioning all of it. But behind those perfectly curated posts that I was seeing on social media, I had to realize that most of those people were exhausted. They were anxious. Those people were barely sleeping. And many of them were battling, feeling disconnected from themselves. And me, I was chasing that same illusion, thinking that being busy meant being alive. It meant being relevant. It meant being, I am enough. And for my fellow content creators out there, my podcasters, my business owners, my brand, people, we all get into this numbers game where we start to question our worth. Right, Miss Sherry? We spend this time to create the content. We put the content out there and the math don't math. And then you scroll up and you see some toxic energy or something else on your timeline. Oh, and they've got hundreds, thousands, millions of views. Right? So at some point, there comes a time where we all kind of question, is what I'm doing valuable? But we have to say, what makes it valuable? Miss Joy says that sometimes staying busy feels better than sitting in our own silence. I can understand that. Hey, Butterfly, welcome in. I can understand that, Miss Joy. But at that point, we have to ask ourselves, are we actually healing? Are we actually doing something that's productive for ourselves, or are we just avoiding it? Right? And one of the things that I had to learn is that silence, as uncomfortable as it may be, is where I receive my download of what to do next. And so I think it's important for us to get comfortable in our silence. You know what I mean? That's honestly where I receive my downloads from God. When I'm sitting in the silence wondering what next, what do? I open my mouth and I say, okay, God, what next? What am I supposed to be doing? I tell God all the time, okay, I'm being obedient. I'm doing what you're calling me to do, but the math ain't mathing. To which he reminds me, I ain't send you there for math. I sent you there to share the message with the people. I didn't tell you how many people. God never once told me that my voice was going to be heard by millions, that thousands of people would like me. He told me to go share my message with the people. But I would only get that message if I sat there in the silence. So I want you guys to think about the last time you compared yourself to someone else's highlight reel. Welcome back, Lady Blue. Right? Think about the last time you were on, the social sites and you saw somebody else's, perfect life and you compared yourself to them, telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not doing enough. How did that make you feel? Because I know for me, it did not make me feel good. Right? I had to quickly learn that comparison is the thief of joy. I have to constantly remind myself that it is me versus me. Ain't no competition. It is me versus me. Ask yourself, am I chasing someone else's version of success instead of my own peace? See, I define what success looks like for me. Right, Miss Joy? Don't let that enemy creep in. And so, at this point in my healing journey, I honor my own space, my own journey, right? Because it's enough. My journey is enough. And everything that I'm doing is enough. It's enough for me. And I'll be real with you guys. I can remember, years ago, I was working 3 jobs. I was running projects and I was trying to create Room to Breathe, the self-care club, right? And at this point in my life, I just thought that exhaustion was the price of progress. I thought that I had to run myself until I was completely on E in order to make it to the next destination. I was even bragging about it, right? Telling people I ain't sleep last night. I've been up for 32 days consecutively. I literally at this moment looked like what I felt like, and that's not a flex. I would rather not look like what I'm going through, right? And so, I was bragging to people saying, I ain't sleep last night, but look what I did. Look what I made, right, Lou? I was like, look what I made, y'all. I got this. But internally, you guys, I was crumbling. My spirit was whispering. And I didn't know it then, but it was God telling me that you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to push yourself to the breaking point. And I ignored it. For several years, I ignored it. And that's when I realized that the hustle culture wasn't just a motivational message. That hustle culture was teaching me to abandon myself, to ignore my needs, to equate my value to productivity. And what did I do? Fall right into the trap? Kept hustling, hustle hard. I'll sleep when I die. That was my mentality. Running around with the tag at the end of my name, Team No Sleep. Right? I was proud of it. And for what? For what, Miss Sherry? Like, you don't get flowers with that. Nobody appreciates that. What happened is everybody piled more things on me. And so 2019, and I tell you guys this all the time, 2019 was truly a breaking point for me. Everything that I had been through, everything that I had hustled through, in 2019, it just hit me. I honestly think God was just sick of me in that moment, not listening. You know how you got that bad little kid and you just keep telling them over and over again, don't do that, put that down, stop doing that, sit down, be quiet. Listen, that's how God was looking at me, like this little disobedient thing right here. So in 2019, God set me down. God set me down and said, okay, you know what? You want to be seen, right? You want to be seen and you want so much attention. So I feel like he took that attention from me. Because in 2019, I can recall standing in rooms filled with people and feeling like I was by myself. In 2019, I was living what some people deem to be, this American dream. I was happily married. We had our son. We got a beautiful house in a nice suburb. Like, I'm doing good. We got 2-3 cars. But I felt like I was by myself. I felt completely alone. And I felt like no one understood me. And I think in that moment, God just said, you know what, let me put her by herself. Regardless of her having people, let me put her by herself. Let me get her to listen to me. And so again, asking ourselves, are we proud of this hustle? Or are we just avoiding? Are we just deflecting the healing that is trying to happen? Are we avoiding what God is trying to tell us? Miss Sherry says, I agree. We need to heal from the hustle culture and reclaim our peace. Amen. Ghost said, what he did to me, listen. God has a way of sitting us down and getting us to listen. And, a lot of times when that happens, we think, oh, why is this happening to me? But I promise you, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. Y'all know how I joke around and say sometimes we got to speak to them demons in a language that they understand. Sometimes God got to talk to us in a language that we understand. He has to remove things from us because we're hard-headed. We're disobedient. Disobedient. Is that even a word? Did I just make up a word? We're gonna move past that. I don't. Y'all understood. So listen, y'all. Let's do a deep dive into, why hustle culture hooks us. Because I think that it's important for us. It is a word. Okay, cool. Thank you, Miss Joy. Because if it wasn't, it is now. In Life Coach's Dictionary, disobedient. Okay, it's a word. So let's talk about the why. Why does hustle culture hook us? Because I think that it's important for us to understand the why so we can get out of it, right? So we can get up out this trap. So first and foremost, I think the reason is because many of us are seeking external validation. It is addictive, Kale, you're right. And so many of us are seeking validation, right? And that external validation, because we live in a society where we are blessed and cursed to have social media, right? So we are all out here looking for social media likes. We are out here seeking comments, validation from people. We want to see how many shares did we get today. We post something and we just won't let it be, right? We got to go back and see how many people liked it, how many people commented, how many people shared it, who retweeted, who reshared, who, whatever. And so in our mind, those shares create the illusion that productivity equals love. And at the root of it, many of us are just seeking love, right? It's a basic human desire for us to be seen and heard. And many of us don't feel seen and heard in our household, so we get online. Because hustle culture convinces us that external recognition is our value. Many of us fail to remember that our worth was established at birth. And so we don't need likes, comments, and shares. We don't need it. But again, society has conditioned us over the years to think that we are not worthy, that we are not valuable, that our life and our voice has no meaning if other people don't like it, if other people don't comment on it. Number two, there's this survival mindset. For many of us, hustling comes from a place of necessity. And when I say a place of necessity, I'm talking about financial pressure, family obligations, generational conditioning. My mama did it. My mama's mama did it. My mama's mama's mama did it. So I got to do it too. Right? This creates a pattern where rest starts to feel like weakness. Oh, and for our men are the head of these households, and they have been conditioned to be strong, toughen up, don't cry, don't share your feelings, just work yourself to death, because that's what a real man does, right? That's what society tells us. That's what you're here for. Society has us all believing that we are here to hustle. We are still enslaved, because now we work many of us work 5 days a week and we have off 2, right? So society keeps telling us, push harder, do more. Say yes to the overtime because I'm gonna give you double the pay. Do more, take on more. You're still here, you're fine, you got it, you can handle it. You the strong one, right? So now many of us have that survival mindset. Miss Joy says, I know that there have been times that I felt guilty for resting. Like Michael Jackson says, sis, you are not alone. I'll be right there with you. Okay. The third thing that I noted was FOMO. Y'all know what FOMO is? FOMO? The fear of missing out. Everybody seems to be doing more, achieving more, leveling up faster. So we have this fear that we're going to miss out on something. So many of us hustle out of fear rather than alignment. See, there's nothing wrong with having a hustle. We have to understand the method to the hustle. We need to understand why we hustle. Again, are you doing it because you're afraid? Hey, pretty. Or are you doing it because it aligns with your soul? Are you doing it because you're truly answering your calling? Are you doing it because you're walking in your purpose? I would like to think that my hustle is because I'm walking in my purpose. And I can say that now because I'm getting my 8 hours of sleep at night. See, before I wasn't getting that rest. And I also wasn't doing nearly as much as I am doing now. See, when you're being obedient and you're walking in your purpose and you're answering your calling, God will show you how to organize what needs to be done. I learned how to make the schedules that still honored my time. Y'all know, I literally have designated my week to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no clients, no interviews, no meetings. Wednesdays are for me. Wednesdays are my healing days. I wake up, I do my motivation, I come do my podcast, and then I'm out. Y'all, I go see my therapist. I check in with my life coach. I get back to my hustle on Thursday and Friday. And guess what? Saturday and Sunday, that's for me. Right, Buddha? Saturday and Sunday, that's for me. That's for my family. So I define what my hustle looks like. So that way I'm not struggling. And I don't have a fear of missing out on anything. Because what's for me is for me. So what are we afraid of? What do we feel like we're missing out on? Because if we believe that what's for us is for us, and that no man can take that from us, who cares if I miss it? Maybe what I missed me. Maybe that was for my good. Number 4 is romanticizing struggle. Yeah, that's that no pain, no gain mentality. Okay? It's like over the years, struggle has become a badge of honor. And nobody's looking at the fact that it is harming our health. It's ruining our relationships. Hey, Carrie. It's damaging our spirit. It's teaching our kids to stay in this pattern. Right? Welcome in, Robin. So we got to stop romanticizing struggle. We got to fall out of love with it. What we talk about, don't recommend. Remember that on our DNR on Monday? Don't recommend. 10 out of 10. I do not recommend the struggle. It is ghetto. Okay? It needs to be shut down. Somebody need to report it. Like, I am not in love with struggling. Kale said, hustling caused me to lose sight of my purpose. And it will. And did. And did. And so again, for those of you who can truly resonate with this, I want you to add this affirmation into your rotation. I want you to tell yourself that I release the need to prove myself through struggle. I am enough as I am. I release the need to prove myself through struggle. I am enough just as I am. Let me say it one more time. I release the need to prove myself through struggle. I am enough as I am. I can remember one day sitting with a client and she had built a thriving business. But when I tell you my girl was exhausted, she was irritable, and I could truly see that she was disconnected from her joy. And, you know, at the time, she thought that slowing down would ruin everything for her. And so I remember one day I asked her, what if your business actually grows because you slow down? Right? What if it grows because you start honoring yourself? And so, you know, on that particular day, she started her first self-care work block, you know, and, you know, what we talked about was putting something on the schedule for yourself that feels convenient for you, right? But scheduling time for yourself daily, weekly, monthly, that you give yourself just a few hours to breathe. Give yourself time to reflect. Give yourself time to reset. You know, I always make the suggestion that we start our day and end our day with gratitude. So if you normally wake up at 6:30 in the morning, I would encourage you to say, okay, let's start getting up at 6. Let's take that first 30 minutes before you have to do anything for anyone else and focus on your gratitude. Meditate, journal, do yoga, go get your cup of coffee before you do everything else. That's right, coach. You got to make time. You have to make time sacred. You know, if you think about it, time is the only thing that we cannot reproduce. We cannot get it back, right? We make money, we spend money, we make more money, we spend more money, right? Everything else is replaceable. Time is not. And so we must begin to honor that. And so, you know, again, I encouraged her to set this self-care block on her calendar, giving herself, you know, the time to breathe, to reflect, and to just reset. And what you do with that time, that's on you, right? Self-care looks different for all of us. And so you have to do something that pours into you, right? The focus is for you to fill your cup with what feels good for you. And so within a couple of weeks of her doing this, you guys, she came back and reported to me that she felt more clear, right? She ready? She felt more creative, right? And she had more energy, not less. And, you know, initially when you think of waking up 30 minutes earlier and, you know, giving yourself an extra 20 minutes at bedtime, you think, oh, I'm going to be a little more tired. I'm taking from myself. But she confirmed that she felt more energized. And, you know, it's in those moments that remind me that I'm on the right track, right? That I realize that this allure of a hustle culture is absolutely a lie. It is a lie built from people who just want to see us, you know, worn down. Because ultimately, y'all, society wants to see us worn down and broken because that's how society thrives. The weaker we are, the more we need to buy. We need more supplements. We need more medication. We need more, you know, therapy. We need more doctor visits. We need all of these things. So society wants to break us down so we would need more. But if we just stop and fill our own cups up, we would need less of that. We would need less of the things that's actually destroying us. So, again, we have to understand that, this allure of this hustle culture is a lie. True growth comes from when you honor your own mind, body, and spirit. I want you guys to think about, if you slow down this week, what could you gain instead of lose? You guys are welcome to add it in the chat. Use it for your journal prompt. But I want you to truly think, how could honoring your rest actually serve your purpose? We have to remind ourselves that rest is sacred. Rest is growth. Rest is our power. That is our superpower. We get to rest. It is our birthright. We get to rest. Welcome in, Mr. T. Happy belated birthday. So family, we've talked about why hustle culture hooks us in. We talked about why we chase the struggle. We talked about how it often leads to self-abandonment. But the question now is, how do we recognize when we've been sacrificing ourselves? And how do we start to reclaim our peace? Yes, Tiffany said, right here, girl. Yes. So let's talk about that, right? I want to talk about some signs that you've been abandoning yourself. And I told y'all, I be stepping on toes, but I do so with love. I got a first aid kit in the back if you need it. If you didn't come in here with your toes covered, we prepared. We all works in progress, ghosts. We are masterpieces and works in progress at the same time. Very much worthy. So listen, family, if you've ever felt exhausted, drained, or like you're living life on autopilot, this conversation is for you. Because I think one of the hardest truths about, this hustle culture is that it teaches us to ignore ourselves. Hey, Yoli. This hustle culture teaches us to abandon our own needs, our emotions, and even our joy. Before we can heal, we have to recognize the signs, okay? I will again share a moment, in my life. A few years back, like I said, I was just hustling so hard that I felt like I had stopped showing up for myself. If my therapist is listening, yep, there were a few times that I skipped out on my therapy session. It went too many times, okay? It went too many times, but I can say I honestly, skipped out on some of my sessions with my therapist, with my life coach. I ignored my body when it was screaming for rest. And I pushed through emotional pain like it was a race. I was on this hamster wheel over and over again. And I thought that self-care, was a luxury at a point in life. Not even going to hold you. I haven't always been this self-care queen. I had to grow into this. I had to evolve into this. And, at this point, I had got sick. Exhaustion had turned into anxiety, resentment towards the people that I loved. And I truly felt disconnected from my purpose. Like, you say purpose, and I'm like, girl, what's that? I'm just here so I don't get fired. That was the mentality that I had. And it was a wake-up call for me, right? That pattern of self-abandonment, right, Carlin? And I was ignoring the whispers of my soul until my body started to scream. Remember, I told y'all there was a point in life where God just sat me down. Like, I really feel like he just said, have several seats, child. You are doing too much. I want you guys to ask yourselves, when was the last time that you truly checked in with yourself? whether it was emotionally, physically, spiritually. When is the last time you truly checked in on yourself? I want you to ask yourself, am I listening to myself or am I ignoring myself? So again, I want to point out some of these common signs of self-abandonment in this hustle culture. Sign number one, y'all, and I'm going to add these to the chat for you guys. Sign number one, the YouTube chat, y'all. Sign number one is saying yes to everyone but yourself. She said, "Ooh, my therapist said this." That lady smart. Saying yes to everyone but yourself. And what I'm talking about when I say saying yes to everyone but yourself, you overcommit, over-deliver, and you are constantly prioritizing other people's needs over your own. Ooh, Miss Sandra, I stepping on some toes. Yes, I can say me too, you guys. Thank you, Miss Joy. I can say me too, because I remember scheduling back-to-back calls with clients while my journal was sitting here untouched. I can remember being so busy helping other people heal that I was neglecting my own heart. And I felt it. So again, I want you guys to ask yourself, where are we overcommitting? Look at this week. Hey, Cardi. Look at your schedule this week and see, where are you overcommitting this week? And what can you say no to in order to reclaim your energy? What can you, readjust, realign, right? We always talk about recalculating, recalibrating. It's important for us to do that. So number two, ignoring your body's signals. Ignoring your body's signals. That's the fatigue, the headaches, the stress eating, the anxiety, right? All of these things, you're feeling them, but you're ignoring it. You're pushing through like nothing matters. It's okay. Remember that I'll sleep when I die. Team no sleep, right? Ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me that I've been ignoring? Y'all know the body keeps score. When we say it's me versus me, oh, baby, the body keeps score. 10 out of 10, I do not recommend, because you will lose. If you are not paying attention to yourself, if you are not listening to your body, to your spirit, to your soul, baby, you're going to lose. It's going to be, that sit down moment. Kale said number two has gotten her hospitalized. So we have to listen to our bodies, that intuition. I remember a client told me that she had ignored her chronic migraines for months because she didn't have time to rest. She had time for it. And when she finally slowed down, she realized that her health was the foundation of everything else in her life. Like, I encourage you all to sit down before you get sat down. Right? Y'all know that sat down. Sit down before you get sat down. Number three, feeling guilty for rest or leisure. Feeling guilty for rest or leisure. For some of us, rest is seen as being lazy, or like it's something indulgent instead of being a necessity. Welcome back, Mocha. Right? We think that, we have to earn rest. I used to cancel personal plans to work because I wanted to be booked and busy, y'all, because that's what made me feel relevant. And then I felt guilty when I finally rested. It was like we've been trained to see rest as failure. So this week, I want you to ask yourself, can I allow myself to rest without shame this week? Can I give myself permission? And spoiler alert, the answer is yes. You can. You can give yourself permission to rest. No one else has to. It is yours. It is yours for the taking. And contrary to popular belief, there are enough hours in the day. You do have time to rest. You absolutely 100% have time to rest. Again, sit down before you get sat down. Thank you, Carlin. Miss Sherry said, I used to feel guilty, but not anymore. Tell them, Miss Sherry. Oh, Helen is gone, honey. I'm going to get my rest. Y'all know I proudly be like, I'm about to take a nap. It'd be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I'm going to take a nap. So I'm like, oh, you want to go here? You want to do this? But what you about to do? Take a nap? Do nothing? Right? And a lot of us live in households where when we are sitting down and doing nothing, family members and friends think that us doing nothing is a sign that we could be doing something for them. Baby, no. I am Netflix and healing. Right? When I say I'm booked and busy, let me show y'all what that look like. Hold on, y'all. Let me show y'all. If I'm booked and busy, baby, this is me being booked and busy. Got a good book. I'm busy. Leave me alone. Okay? Leave me be. Don't call. I don't care if you see me in the front yard. If I said I ain't home, I ain't home. I'm busy. I'm booked. Yeah, I'm booked for that couch time, right? For that nap time. I'm filling my cup. I ain't got nothing for you today. Let's get into number 4. Y'all, don't run now, y'all. Okay, we in the thick of it now. Number 4, using busyness to avoid emotions. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You using busyness to avoid emotions. You know, hustle becomes a coping mechanism to avoid the pain, to avoid the grief, to get out of the self-reflection and the shadow work that is begging to happen. Yeah, I mean, there was a time when I worked 18-hour days to avoid sitting with my own feelings after a heartbreak. Sure did. That hustle felt productive, but it was only a shield. It was temporary. You're right, Cardi. Not resting will have you burnt out. And you know, eventually the emotions, they still caught up with me. I still had to face them anyway. So I want you to ask yourself, am I running from emotions by staying busy? Is this avoidance? Am I, deflecting what I really need to be doing? We have to stop using busyness to avoid our emotions. We need and deserve to feel all the feels. And I know when we talk about shadow work, when I talk to y'all about going therapy, y'all be like, oh God, here she go again. Let me tell you something. Therapy will change your life. It will change your life if you let it. And the reason why some people's therapy hasn't been successful is because you missed the part where if you let it, you have to do the work. You have to do the work. Miss Joy says, I advocate for therapy. I love my therapist. I have worked through so much. Yes. And Miss Joy, isn't it such a good feeling to know that you have a safe space to unapologetically walk into and just be you, to speak your truth, to talk your shit, right? To say everything that you haven't been able to say. And so again, we need a place to let our hair down. We need a place to just show up and be like, you know what? These motherfuckers is pissing me off. Like, sorry, not sorry, y'all. And excuse the language, but we all reach this point where we need to say whatever it is that's on our heart, whatever it is on our mind. And sometimes it's these MFs that's pissing me off. We need a safe space to process. And if you've tried therapy in the past and maybe it just wasn't a good fit, I want you to be honest with yourself. Maybe you weren't ready for it at the time. Maybe you and your therapist weren't aligned. Sometimes you got to get, through a few sessions with a few different therapists to find where you fit. So don't quit. Don't write it off. Don't give up on it. Try again. Aaliyah told us, if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off, try again. Welcome in, Spark Motive. All right, so number 5. Number 5 is loss of joy or presence. See, when we be out here hustling, running ourselves ragged, we start to notice that activities that used to bring us happiness now feel like obligation. Anybody else ever have their self-care task turned into something that you had to do? Where you felt obligated to do it? It doesn't serve you anymore, right? You felt that, bruh? I love painting. Okay, you guys, I absolutely love painting. It is one of my creative self-care, habits, routines, whatever you want to call it. But I had to stop because I was too busy. Yeah, I can't go to the park no more. I'm too busy. I got too many things I could be doing. But when I finally got back into it, when I picked up that brush again, y'all, I cried. I literally sat there and had a whole moment crying because I realized that hustle had made me abandon a part of myself that was pure joy. That I allowed society to talk me out of my joy, my happiness, my peace. And I know I'm not the only one, right? Right now for me, reading is something that has taken a backseat. And I recognize it because y'all know your girl was over here reading about 30 books a month. Like I was on a roll. Yeah, I ain't picked up a book and fully saw it through in over a month. And I just started thinking like, you know what? I already have Wednesdays to myself. I have no excuse. Maybe I couldn't fit it in Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but like Wednesdays are my healing days. So I had to be honest with myself and say, hey, you know what? It's nobody else's fault that you're not reading. It's nobody else's fault that you're not painting. If it brought you joy, if it brings you joy, if it is something that you enjoy, then you make time for it. What do they say? People make time for what they want. I want joy. I want peace. And me painting, me reading, that brings me joy, that brings me peace. So I got to make time for it, right? So this week, I want you guys to think about what have, you abandoned that used to bring you life. And figure out how you can reclaim it this week. And there is this emotional and spiritual consequence that we have to deal with when it comes to the hustle culture. We talked about chronic stress, anxiety, the burnout. We start to feel disconnected from our intuition, our inner guidance, our purpose. I've heard so many people in the last week or two say that they feel like they're not hearing God. They don't understand what their purpose is. They don't understand what they're being called to do. And I'm like, well, honey, that's because you're too busy. You're too busy doing everything else. So now you're disconnected from your intuition. You can't figure out what your purpose is because you're too busy. You got to sit down. Many of us are experiencing strained relationships because you're physically present but emotionally absent. Like, I'm here, but I'm not really here. I'm just here so I don't get fired. Miss J says, I'm sorry, I keep saying Miss J, and it is definitely Miss Joy. My bad, sis. She said, I had to fast and really dig into prayer and spend time with God. And that's when I heard him again. Absolutely. We have to make time for it. You know, we have to schedule time for our downloads. Anybody who has a computer, smartphone, whatever device you're listening to me on right now, you know that device occasionally has an update, right? And in order for it to update, the purpose of the update is to make it better, to fix something that may have been broken, or to add a new feature to make it better, right? And in order for that update to take place, there has to be a download, right? Y'all understand that the computers and the phones are built and created in our likeness? Because in order for us to upgrade, in order for us to level up and be better, we have to schedule a download. And if you're not careful, you will download from social media. You will download from society. You will download from the devil. You will download from toxic things. Right? But if you schedule your download and you make sure that is something, you know, that is coming, that is going to pour into you, that is going to serve you, when you get that download, that is God or the universe, whatever higher being you believe in, telling you what you need, giving you what you need so you can level up, so you can upgrade, so you can operate at the highest level for you. You know, many of us feel guilt, shame, resentment over prioritizing our own needs, right? Moms, dads, we feel guilty when we do stuff for ourselves because we think that we're supposed to be running ourselves crazy for these kids. Companies that we work for, we think that we got to run ourselves ragged for them. I got to do this. I got to be here. I got to go here. Can't stop. I had a client who realized that she was constantly irritated with her kids. And it wasn't because she ain't love them, right? It was just simply because she was running on E. So she started to resent them. She had abandoned her own needs for so long that her patience was gone. And so one of the things that I encouraged her to do was just to start small. Taking an hour of rest, journaling, meditating. One of the big things that I encourage people to do now, because my therapist encouraged me to do it, was to let them. And y'all have heard me talk about the let them, let me, right? And while I was reading the book, Let Them, and it's by Mel Robbins, while I was reading this book, Let Them, I learned this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. And so the concept that Mel shared with us was that, you know, there was a point in her life where she just felt like, okay, I can't even get up. Like, you know, for some of us, getting out of bed some days is a struggle, right? So she had said, you know, life was just lifing and it had gotten the best of her. And even her getting up, being a wife, being a mother was just hard, right? Felt impossible. And at some point she said, okay, you know what? I don't know if she had watched kind of the NASA launch where they count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. But she said, I wonder if I just said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And I got up and did what I needed to do. So she said she started telling herself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. She got up out the bed. Okay, that worked. I need to get in here and do these dishes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. She had to get up and go do the dishes. So notice that started with a mindset. It started with an idea. If I tell myself this, if I count down the same way NASA counts down where they blast off into, the stars, right? If I just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now I got to get up and do this. Yeah, life is still life, and I still feel like I feel, but I got to get up. I got to move. So that's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. And I encourage you guys to read Let Them. Green Book by Mel Robbins. I also encourage you guys to look at her other book, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 strategy, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, where it really goes into detail about it. But that is something that has honestly changed my life. I was so thankful that my therapist even referred Let Them. And the concept behind Let Them is that, when people are doing things are happening in life, and we always feel like we need to micromanage or be in control of it. Let Them tells us, just stop. Let them people do what they're going to do. You know what? Let the dishes be in the sink. Let the laundry be over there. Let it. Let me go fill my cup up. So let them do what they're going to do. Let me go mind my mental. And so I referred that to my client, and, it's not something that maybe happens immediately, right? One of the things that I had to tell her is that, it takes time. It took X amount of years for you to be this person now. So it's going to take additional time. It could be days. It could be months. It honestly could be years. But you will see improvement every single day. Every single day that you take the intentional step. Hey, Tasha girl. Every single day that you take the intentional step to better yourself, you get better. But if nothing changes, nothing will change. So this week, I want you to ask yourself, where in my life am I emotionally absent because I've been overextending, overgiving, overdoing, overcompensating? Remember, one small act of self-care can help you reclaim your peace. So in your journal, write down what can I do today to reclaim my peace, to reclaim my presence. You are allowed to put yourself first without guilt. Yes, ma'am. I think, what did I say? Ask yourself, where in your life are you being or feeling emotionally absent because you've been overextending? Where in your life are you emotionally absent because you've been overextending? And then figure out one small act of self-care that you can do today, to reclaim your presence. You're welcome, Queen. And, affirmations, because you guys know I'm big on affirmations. Affirmations to add, for yourself in this week is that I am allowed to put myself first without guilt. I am allowed. I give myself permission to put myself first without guilt. I am in tune with my body, my mind, and my spirit. I'm tapping out of society and I'm tapping into me. I am in tune with my body, my mind, my spirit. My needs matter. My rest matters. My joy matters. So again, family, understand that recognizing self-abandonment is the first step to true healing. It's the moment where we say, I see you, right? I honor you. I hear you. So far we've talked about the allure of the hustle culture and the signs that you've been abandoning yourself in the name of this grind, in the name of the hustle. So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about success. Because here's the thing. The way society defines success is not the way our soul defines it. Okay? And until we reframe what success looks like, we're going to keep running ourselves into the ground thinking that being busy equals being worthy. But success has nothing to do with exhaustion. It's not about saying yes to everything. True success is about alignment, joy, and honoring your energy. Thank you, Ms. Joy. So, key principles to, reframing success looks like quality over quantity. Quality over quantity. Instead of counting hours, counting likes, I want you to measure your impact and alignment. What impact did I have? I don't have to have 100 people in the room. I got 10 people who are listening and engaged. I'll take quality over quantity anytime. That's 10 out of 10 what I recommend. Okay? Next, we need to celebrate small wins. Miss Sherry, I know that's right. Celebrate small wins. Because a win is a win, no matter how big, no matter how small. Hey, Blackjack. Celebrate small wins. Gratitude and recognition for progress, not just monumental achievements. Right? We need to have that attitude of gratitude all the time. I'm thankful for everything. I'm thankful for what I have an abundance of. Not, I don't care about what I'm lacking. I don't care what I'm not doing good. I'm grateful for what I have an abundance of. So I want you to celebrate the small wins. I want you to align your actions with your values. Align actions with values. Success isn't about what other people expect. It's about what nourishes your soul. No one else has to understand why you love to do what you do. They just need to understand that you love doing what you're doing. It's your purpose. And rarely do other people understand what your purpose is. It doesn't have to always make sense to them. I don't need for you to understand what walking in my purpose looks like. I just need you to respect the fact that I'm walking in my purpose. So align your actions with your values. Number 4, I need you to understand rest as radical success. Rest as radical success. Yes, walk in purpose, on purpose. We need to understand that rest isn't a reward. It is the foundation. It is our God-given right. It is our birthright. Rest is not optional. Rest doesn't need to be earned. It is yours. Rest is something that you deserve. You get to rest. I want you guys to visualize your life a month from now. Right? After listening to this podcast, visualize your life a month from now if you were to honor your alignment over busyness. What up, Bigo? How would your relationships look? How would work look? How do you think that your self-perception would shift? If you apply all these things that we talked about and you shift your mindset, what do you think that your relationships would look like? Your work, your self-perception. I want you guys to remember that, success is defined by alignment. my peace and joy. And it's important for us to release the need to prove our worth. I don't have to prove that I'm worthy to you. My worth was established at birth. So again, family, when we reframe success, we stop equating exhaustion with value, and we start defining our lives by alignment and joy. That's where we start to add in boundaries, right? Understanding that boundaries are anti-hustle tools. Y'all didn't know that, did y'all? That's an anti-hustle tool. We know that alignment and rest only work if we protect it. And like I said, that's where the boundaries come in. We understand that boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They're sacred space to keep us in, us aligned, right? Our boundaries are a secret weapon against the hustle culture, self-abandonment, and burnout. So, make sure that you are setting your boundaries, that you are honoring yourself with your boundaries. I want you guys to learn to say no without guilt. I want you to prioritize protecting your energy. And boundaries also help us heal if you think about it, right? We make time boundaries where we schedule, rest, reflection, and creative work as non-negotiables. This is my time. It's not up for debate. We have emotional boundaries where we protect our feelings from being manipulated. We're done with being guilt tripped. And we're blocking out unnecessary drama. That sounds like an issue. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Because I have an emotional boundary. I can't let that negativity that you got going on over there get on me. I work too hard. Y'all also need to have digital boundaries, right? Social media is great. I love it. But we need to limit social media scrolling, doom scrolling, okay? Limit your scrolling. Turn off these notifications, y'all. If y'all don't get y'all a D&D, do not disturb. Stop being constantly available. Schedule times to check your emails. You don't have to always be on. And then we need relational boundaries, right? Because one of the best things that I love is knowing that I get to decide who gets access to me. Because I'm not for the streets. I'm not for everybody. That's okay. I get to decide who has access to my time, my energy, and my presence. Because I know that my presence is a gift. And if people don't value me when I'm present, they don't value my presence, I will no longer be present. So again, you guys, spend that time setting your boundaries. And like I said, do so without feeling guilty. And I know today, listen, you guys, we unpacked a lot from the hustle culture, and I feel like we can have a whole part 2 to this at some point. We unpack the hustle culture, recognize signs of self-abandonment. We talked about the power of boundaries. We've explored rest, reflection, and what it feels like to have that radical self-love. But most importantly, we talked about redefining success on our own terms, aligning with our purpose, protecting our energy, and reclaiming our peace. So as we start to wrap up today, I want you to remember that your worth is not measured by how much you grind. Your value is not tied to exhaustion. You are enough. You are worthy. And your energy is sacred and it deserves to be protected. So as you guys continue into this week, I want you to take one step, whether it's saying no, resting, reflecting, or simply protecting your time. I want you to know that small, consistent steps create transformation. I don't expect you guys to have it all figured out just from listening to this podcast. But I want you to understand that every step, no matter how small it is, as long as you take consistent steps, you cannot do it today and not tomorrow. Every single day, small, consistent steps create the transformation that you're seeking. The final affirmation that I will give you guys for today: I release the need to struggle to prove my worth. I honor my energy, my purpose, and my peace. I am enough just as I am. I release the need to struggle to prove my worth. I honor my energy, my purpose, and my peace. I am enough just as I am. I want to thank you guys for making space to breathe with me today. Before we part ways, I'm going to always tell you guys to keep protecting your peace, honoring yourself, and living aligned. I encourage each and every one of you to keep breathing through the highs, the lows, and every single moment in between. I want you to keep choosing peace, even when it feels just out of reach. And know, here at the Self-Care Club, you will always be seen, always valued, and always supported. So don't be afraid to take up space, speak your truth, and make a little room for you to breathe. I pray that each and every one of you have an amazing day on purpose, filled with nothing but purpose. And I do look forward to connecting with you all again soon. This has been a Room to Breathe podcast, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.